For enrichment program, we're going to learn how to do some 3D designs for our 3D printer using Tinkercad. First thing we need to do is just learn how to use the basic controls and just make something very simple. So what we're going to do is just make a die. So to start out, we're going to do click new design, create new design. Now for this, all we have to do is manipulate shapes that they already provide for us. So the first thing I want to do is just grab a cube. Now in order to be able to see everything on this cube, I have to know how to use the commands on my mouse. To zoom in, I'm just going to take the scroller on my mouse, scroll it in, and scroll it out. Now if I want to see all around this, I can take my right click on my mouse, click it, hold it, and just drag the screen around. Now I can see all sides of my shape. Now if I want to move around my plane, what I need to do is actually go back to my scroller on my mouse, and instead of scrolling it, I'm going to click on it just like it was a regular button. When I click it down, I can just drag my whole screen without moving into any of the other space. So give that a try. Now while we're creating our die, what we want to do is put letters, numbers, whatever you want to put on your die all over the faces of this cube. Now when you drop something into your plane on Tinkercad, it automatically goes to your work plane. So it's always going to line up with it, and you can make it taller, you can make it shorter, but it's going to line up. What we want to do is actually put a new plane on top of this. So I'm going to go up to my work plane, and I'm going to drag it so that it's right on top of my cube. Now anything that I drop in will be right on this plane instead of the bottom one. So what I need to do, right now we're in our basic shapes. I'm going to click on my arrow, go down to text, and go all the way to the bottom and grab a number. We can choose any number we like. I like 8, so I'm going to grab that one. And I'm going to drop it on here. Now I can rotate my shape if I want to. Let's say I want to rotate it 90 degrees. I can type in 90, hit enter, and it rotates at 90 degrees. I'm going to make it go back to where I had it originally though, by doing Control Z, and just take it right back. I'm just going to move my plane around. Now I have my 8 in here, and that's great, but most die have the letters or numbers or whatever is on it embedded into the die. So in order to do that, I'm going to grab my shape, and right in the middle, I'm going to click on that, and instead of going up to make it bigger, I'm going to drag it down into my shape. And I'm going to drag it down maybe about 3 millimeters into my shape. Now that letter is actually in there. But right now it would still just be printed out as a cube because there's nothing different about that shape compared to the other shape. So what I'm going to do is go to shape, and instead of making a solid piece, I'm going to turn that into a hole. Now I just cut a hole into it. Now right now my shape is in there, that's great. It's a hole, it's going to get cut out, but it's not lined up exactly perfectly. I want this thing to be centered in my shape. So what I'm going to do is select everything by left clicking and drawing a square around it. I'm going to group, or now I'm going to hit my align button. The align button is right up here, and it's got the long bar and the short bar underneath it. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give me a series of dots. Now I want to align this in the center, so what I'm going to do is click on my center dot over here, and you see when I click on these, it lines it up wherever I want it. If I want it up in the top, I can do that. If I want it in the center, I can click here. If I want it there, I can click there. I want it right in the center, so I'm going to click it right in the center. Now I'll click off of that. Now highlight everything again and hit my group button. Now the group button is right up here, and it looks like a square coming together with a circle. I click that, and now everything is grouped together. And we can see that my shape has the 8 in it. When I drag this around, everything goes with it. Now if I want to ungroup it, I can select it again. And ungroup it. Now when I move it, the 8 does not move with the rest of the shape. I'm going to group this back together though. I'm going to realign everything by hitting my align button. Line it in the center. And regroup that together. So it's all back to grouped. I can see that I have a 8 cut out of my die. Now that's great for getting it on top of the die. But if I want to get on one of the sides, I can drag a work plane in and drop it on the side now. So now I can work on this side. And once again, I can put another number in here. Let's say I want to do a 7 this time. I can drop my 7 on here. Once again, I'm going to drag it backwards, probably about 3 centimeters again, or 3 millimeters. Make that a hole. And once again, I want to make sure it's aligned center. So I'm click on that. I'm going to align my shape to the center by clicking on both center circles. So now it's aligned. Select the whole thing and group it together. And now I can see that I've got a shape with a 7 on the side and an 8 on the top. Now let's say I want to get rid of these second planes altogether. All I need to do is drag in a new plane and just drop it in anywhere. So now you can try that. Try putting another plane on the side, on the back side, and over here. If you can do that, you can do any of these shapes, cut them in. Basically what you're doing is just manipulating shapes in this program. So now that we have that, if you ever forget how to do any of this, there's tutorial videos that you can look at. So what you can do is go back to Tinkercad by clicking on the Tinker logo right here. And click on Learn. This will give you step-by-step instructions on how to move objects just like we were doing, how to use the camera controls, which was your mouse controls, how to create holes, which we just did, and they'll even show you how to make a die if you forgot. So you can do any of those lessons to learn more about how to use Tinkercad.